Alright, I'm going to show you guys how I made this album cover in Photoshop. This one's actually pretty easy, so I think you guys will have an easy time following it. And with that said, let's get right into it. Alright, so in Photoshop, first thing I want to do is drop a small slither of a reference that I'm using. So a lot of the times when I'm gathering references, there's like very small parts of this image or whatever I'm looking at that I want to kind of use or take inspiration from. In this case, the image or what I want to take inspiration of was like the gradient between the bottom of the image and the top of the image. How it kind of went from this light gray to dark at the top. So what I do is put that slither of an image in and then use the gradient adjustment layer behind that and kind of adjust my gradient to match my references gradient. So once I was done that, honestly, it's like almost like I'm halfway done the cover already. So I dropped this picture I got from unsplash.com, I think. I either got it from Unsplash or I got it from, what's it called? I don't know, Pexels. Those two are very good websites for royalty-free imagery that you can use. So I dropped this in and then I started cutting this guy out with the pen tool. Not gonna lie, cutting things out is probably my least favorite thing to do. It's just kind of time consuming. A lot of the times, especially when I was like first starting out, I was never sure like how detailed I should be, right? Because you can like kind of somewhat go over the rocks, you can copy the exact shape of the rocks, and then you can get really granular and you can like almost cut out every little blade of grass. And I never know, like, am I wasting time? Is this even gonna look good? And what I usually do to kind of make those decisions while I'm working on this stuff is that I kind of think of the scale of what this image is going to be placed in, or like the context of it, if that makes sense. So I'm picturing this guy standing on this mountain and the camera, like the viewer, is kind of far back. So it doesn't really make sense for like the grass pieces to stand out that much. So in this case, I just kind of cut them out, which probably saved me a ton of time. And honestly, I don't like cutting stuff out. I don't like using the pen tool for like an hour, 30 minutes at a time. Just kind of like very repetitive, but whatever, no big deal. So once I cut the image out, there were a couple little kind of circles in between his legs that I had to cut out, as well as his arms. And then looking at this, I think I'm gonna probably have to kind of touch up a few pieces later, but no big deal. So once I had this image in, I started color correcting it. One of the inspirations I've taken for this album cover is a lot of the album covers that NF puts out. They're very dark and desaturated, so that's kind of the look I was going for, dark and gloomy and desaturated. So that's what I'm doing. So after touching this guy's hair up here, and his legs, I also touched up his legs. To get back to the color correction, actually, some more things I was doing for this image here. I felt like he was kind of a little too dark, maybe, and I wanted him to stand out a little bit more because he kind of fell into the background. So I kind of tried here, you could see I put like a solid color adjustment layer on top of him, and then I was editing the blend if adjustment things, I don't know what those are called, the blend ifs, to kind of like fade into the darker parts of him, just so he stands out a little bit more. After that, I put in 3 different clouds I want to try out here because I wasn't sure which one I was going to use. But I removed the drop shadows from them and then just kind of plopped them on, and I ended up using this guy. So I think this looks pretty good, and this is pretty close to kind of what I want, but I think we just need a couple more adjustments here. So first thing I did was I wanted to kind of try and make this background. Oh wait, sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself a little bit. So I actually, every once in a while, sometimes when I'm kind of stuck on a piece, I'll like continue and kind of skip a step and then go back later to try and kind of fix it later. And there you could kind of see I was going back to try to color correct the guy there. Another solution I kind of came up with was actually changing almost the bringing out the light colors in the mountain because it was really just like flat and gray. So I put a solid color adjustment layer on top and kind of blend ift on it. I think it really brought out the white parts, and then I kind of colored on the very bottom of it and made it a little bit darker, so it looked like the top is lit up and the bottom is a little bit dark, and I think it made the character stand out a lot more and made the mountain look a lot better. For the background, I wanted, you could see I was going to try to brush out something, but in the end I actually ended up getting a texture from texturelabs.org, slapping it on the background and kind of fading it out a little bit and putting an adjustment or a blending mode on it. I think that looked pretty good. And then after that, I'm kind of just touching up a few things. Here you can see I'm kind of like using the brush tool and masking out the character a little bit, because some of the parts are just kind of like weirdly, like his hair is kind of weirdly sticking out. There's like white parts on the rocks and stuff like that. I start editing kind of like the texture in the background. Once I do that, that's pretty much it. So guys, if you have any questions about anything, put them in the comments and I will answer every single one. And if you like these videos, please subscribe. See ya.